Welcome to Hard Knock Hawks, everyone. I'm Anthony, along with my three other hosts, Marco, Leon, and Chris. Today, we're
Oh,
going to talk about the Hawks' first preseason game against the Pacers. We're going to talk about all the exciting plays and performances of the first preseason game. So let's just jump straight into it, and ask everyone what's your thoughts on the game. Who wants to just tackle that first?
I'm gonna go last because I didn't get to watch the game in real time. So I'm gonna let one of y'all have it first.
They were able to establish a style of play, and the ball was moving. People were moving. Everybody and their mom was bringing the ball up after a while. So if, if they trust each other to do that, Trey has a little bit of a ways to go in forming the habits that I can't I can't remember when the game was. Should have wrote it down. It was I think he got his shot blocked and maybe Nance got the rebound. And he likes to go right back up to the top and keep it. If he cuts through to the baseline, he creates that space that can help everybody else rotate. And he might end up with an open three in the corner. It wouldn't shock me in that situation. So it's just a couple more things to rewire with him. But everybody else looked amazing. Obviously, Zach was amazing. Jalen did what Jalen did. I mean, he showed a little bit more aggression, just getting onto, just taking smaller guys into the paint, actually posting up, finishing.
Yep.
But like, you need to dunk on people more. I don't even know. I don't know why you're playing around. You need to dunk on these little guys, even when you post them up. You too big for that. Kobe looked like a great backup point guard. Even Quinn said that he, you know, really gets the ball moving, and that's what I need in the second unit. So like everybody eats in the second unit. V obviously highlight of the preseason so far, crazy pass, where we look really deep, and that means we can sustain whatever adversity comes throughout the season.
For me, it was seeing the contributions from the new guys and seeing what they bring to the team. The beginning of the game was a little slow. I felt like they were definitely trying to let Jalen kind of get a feel for running the show. It's something that they're going to have to rep, right? Jalen needs the reps, so and that might have been why the offense felt a little weird in the beginning. Trey wasn't kind of doing his thing and attacking naturally. So there wasn't too much flow before the first timeout. But coming out of that, the guys were really moving the ball a lot. You started seeing the hit-ahead passes. Started seeing guys trying some touch passes. The cuts were there from Dyson. Zach did his thing. He looked really good. Showed really great feel. His off-ball movement was nice. He tried to get position near the rim when he had an advantage, but he was also comfortable on the perimeter. Saw him make a nice pass. So it was a great showing for a lot of the new guys. Yeah, I really loved how things felt once. I felt like the offense opened up after they started moving the ball, and hopefully that they got the feel for that, right, and that kind of leads into game two, and they can keep that up.
Um, you, oh, my bad. You can go next, Marco. Then I'll go.
You good. For what I saw, for what I was able to watch, I liked how we pushed the pace. If you looked at Quinn, every time Jalen had the ball, like grabs the board, and we are pushing it back to the side. Every time Jalen had the ball, Quinn was like, "Go, go, go!" So he's telling other guys to push the ball up the court. Um, they let Jalen do it a couple times. They let Risa do it a couple times. They let Dyson do it a couple times. We're trying to switch it up and let everybody, go up and down, go up the court with it, push the pace, bam, bam, bam. Kobe and Veet, I like what I saw from Kobe. Played defense, had a decent shot selection. He's just a point of getting the shots to go in. Veet with a crazy 3-quarter pass, like yeah, that was nasty. I didn't expect him to get that off. But I like what I saw from him. Risacher, he shocked me. I'm not gonna lie. An efficient 18. He was like 78%, like 3 for 5 from three, and yeah, it was. He ate. He looked comfortable putting the ball on the floor. The little Euro step he did, with a little flip shot into that shit was nice. Looked comfortable shooting. Didn't hesitate on any three. He even had a off the dribble three where he stepped back kind of didn't hesitate on any shot he took. So that's a good sign. Trey is Trey. Jalen is Jalen. Well, no, let me not say Jalen is Jalen. Jalen looks more aggressive. He got 19 fairly quick. For him not to play if this was an actual game, and Jalen was playing his full 40 minutes a night, that 19 easily would have been 30. I'm not going to lie, it would have been 30, a good 32, and he had 9 boards on top of that, and I think he got 19, 19 and 9, 19-8, whatever in like 18 minutes, 19 minutes. So I like what I saw from Jalen. He's getting used to being the aggressor. He's getting used to coast to coast playing half court offense is picking up a little bit. So from the other guys, Clint is Clint, I guess. Dre, not wasting my time on you, buddy. You wasting my time. Um, yeah, I like what I seen. I like what I seen. Fast paced movement. Defense, we're still figuring it out, but I don't think Quinn has implemented a new defensive set truly yet. You know how he does preseason. He's not going to show his cards because he did the same shit last preseason. He's not going to show everything. So it was a lot of man. Didn't really see some zones here and there. Blah blah blah. So, but yeah, it was a good first preseason game. Like what I saw, and yeah,
My thoughts are I think I think there's obviously like a really good template here that it can just improve a lot as the season continues. Um, I think especially since DeJounte is missing, I was kind of surprised about how well the team was just able to score. But then again, this is a Trae Young offense, so it really shouldn't be that surprising. The ball movement was really well executed for the most part throughout the game. Like Dyson, Veet, and even Risacher, which people generally criticize his creation throughout the draft process. He moved the ball well throughout the whole game. That really just impressed me a lot. The defense was also, I thought, for the most part, fine in this game as well. The Pacers play really fast, and it can be hard to defend a team like that, especially with their high pace. So to see players like Dyson and Kobe Buffkin like be able to try and just like disrupt their pace, I thought they did a good job trying to do that. But I think generally, for the most part, like for me, this is just like a really good start for the Hawks, and hopefully they could just build up on what they have so far. Um, I think I do want to just go on and just continue because I didn't mention Risache, and you guys also mentioned Risache. There is after he scored 18 points, and you mentioned Marco, he scored a really efficient 18 points. What were your guys' thoughts on his game? Him, um, on that night, basically.
He showed that he can affect the game even if he's not scoring. And he was scoring. He made the correct play most of the time. He tried to, get a little wiggly in the lane, and his handle is loose. It's not super tight all the time, but it doesn't matter because he makes quick decisions, and at least he can handle in the open court, which is more than I can say for some. Um, I mean, last year I said take Jalen, clone him, and start them both. He's not Jalen. He's not, but he's got a lot of the same tools in the open court. I saw him get a rebound last night, and he really it's just these little things. As soon as he got the rebound, he immediately got up court. Like his first step was up court. And that's just those little things that, like he really is locked in on the fundamentals. I can tell you, I think I understand. His dad played against some of these guys in the US, and he noticed that we were losing the fundamentals. They just got athletes out there. I just can't contend with these athletes, he said. But I'll make somebody who can. And that's what we've been gifted. Thank you, Adam Silver.
Okay. Well, so for me, the thing that really stuck out for Zach, it was the mental side. One, I mean, coming in to the season, Trey was complimenting that side of his game, which spoke volumes to me. Trey's a pretty cerebral player himself, and he doesn't just hand out compliments um, offhandedly like that. And Zach showed that he knows what he's doing out there. His processing is up to speed. He uses his size and athleticism well. He's not like gonna jump out of the gym, but he knows how big he is, right? And he's fast. So he's cutting when he has advantages, trying to use that length he has to get to the rim against smaller players. We saw him kind of do a little bit of everything, which lets you know that he is a smart basketball player, right? That it's the mental side that sets them apart. And he knew when to set a screen, he knew when to cut. He and Trey had a little two-man game to set up a three, kind of in transition almost. He really, really impressed me with his feel, and the touch was real. Had a nice little Euro lay, posted up his man, hit him with a little fake, and finished. He showed touch with both hands, got down to the dunker spot, wasn't afraid to go up and throw down on a couple people. So yeah, it was a really impressive performance for a young player who showed that he can kind of keep up with the reads in real time. He had a really nice pass to Larry Nance, who's cutting to the basket. And that's the type of stuff you want to see because it's not always just what you can do about putting the ball in the basket yourself. It's about helping create for others and keeping advantages. And that's one thing that I think they can trust with him is that if he has an advantage, he will take advantage of it or extend it and use it to get a bucket for someone else. And that's really big. If you got a guy next to Jalen now who can do a lot of what Jalen brought in terms of the secondary playmaking and finishing at the rim. Dyson as well kind of showed that he can do a bit of those things. So the Hawks are surrounding Trey with some tall athletes that can run and get into space for him. So yeah, that was really exciting.
I don't know how I forgot to glaze Dyson in my in my introduction, in my little opener, but we're gonna get to that after Risha. Um, hey, look, man, Risha is a self creation away from conversations getting wicked. That's all I'm gonna say. He did the small things: touch passes, grab the rebound, pushed it up, pushing pace, made the right read. You know that between the leg pass to Clint. You know how comfortable you got to be to do that in your first NBA game. Insane, insanity. Because that would have been an easy suicide in practice if that led to a
And
turnover.
he should never do that pass to Clint ever again. Because
Hey man, I'm not.
Clint's going to mess that up every time.
Hey man, I'm not gonna knock his style. I'm not gonna knock his style. He do it again, I wouldn't be too mad at it. Just make sure we're up by like 20.
Yeah.
His defense, you know, like I said, he's getting used. He's getting adjusted to the NBA style, NBA pace, NBA style of basketball, whatever. So I feel like from what I have seen on the defensive end from him from the first game, it looks promising. Like I said, once he gets fully acclimated, adjusted, add a little bit more weight to him. Even though he has added some decent weight, add a little bit more weight to him. You know, he'll be better at the point of attack as the season goes on. For right now, for like team defense wise, he's pretty decent on that.
I think for me, like, I think the best way to describe is Risacher is that he's a professional, and that like he's so smart. Like he really does just know just so many things at just such a young age. Like I'm like there was a moment where he did like he tapped out a rebound to Dyson Daniels where he was able to score, and he's been doing that like a lot he did that a lot during his summer league, and he did it again during this first preseason game, and it's just like not a lot of players do that type of stuff. Like I was just kind of just surprised by how often he just does those little things. Like that's high IQ plays, and he's only 19. Like it just imagine what's gonna happen like 2 to 3 years. I think my main thing with Risacher is that I want him to be more aggressive. I want him to shoot more threes. I want him to just like if instead of just continuing to play, just try to just shoot more. But like then again, like he's so young, but young. He's gonna get more aggressive as time goes on, but it's just such a good start for him, and there's just nothing but positivity for me, and I think the whole Hawks fan base. Like, this is probably like the best start you could get for him right now, honestly.
Yeah, I think we talked a few times about like the X factor of everyone being so young, right? You don't know who's going to pop, and throw out like, what if Zach is just good, you know? And obviously you can't depend on someone to shoot like 70% from the field every game, but I think what you saw was the process was there, right? And sometimes people can care more about result than process, but if you're doing the right things consistently, then generally they'll pay off more often than not. And what Zach showed is that mentally he's gonna do the right things out there on the floor, and you can trust his decision makings. One thing Quinn mentioned before the season about Trey off ball, because everyone's obsessed with Trey off ball, and in his Quinn isms, he was talking about moving the ball up the floor quickly and Trey getting off it in the backcourt, hitting it ahead, and then being able to trust that his teammates are going to use the advantages and move the ball quickly, and that he will get it back in the flow of the offense and be able to take advantage and impact the game. Right? It's one thing to move the ball and trust you're going to get it back. It's another thing to move the ball and be afraid that it's going to end up in a black hole, right? And as the lead player, he knows it's going to come back on him. So if I can't trust that I'm going to have a chance to impact the game, I might be a little wary about throwing the ball ahead just willy nilly, right? But if you do trust your teammates to make smart decisions and get it back to you, you can hit it ahead and know that there's going to be a couple touch passes, somebody's going to cut, and then I might come open on the three, and that guy's going to see me and hit me on time so I can hit this shot. Because otherwise, I'm just going to keep this thing and find a shot myself, right? So that was it was exciting to see the players moving the ball, especially after that first sub. I'm sure Quinn told him to move it, so that's what it looked like.
Speaking of moving the ball, we're gonna talk about two players who also moved the ball well. Dyson and Veet. We'll talk about Dyson first. Dyson scored. Let me check again. He went
14.
14. Thank you, Leon. He scored 14 points. He only shot one three, but he only made one three. Excuse me, but out of three attempts. But that's fine with me. What are your guys' thoughts on Dyson's performance?
Oh my, Dyson Dangs, where do I start? Um, I gotta get my little Dyson glaze out the way, man. I got his jersey on the way too. So
Nice.
but no, Dyson did pretty good. It's a big thing that a lot of Hawks fans ignore. A big thing that kind of went under the radar. The Hawks were like bottom five in rim pressure. You know, we didn't get to the line that much last year because baby boy felt like he didn't need to drive to the basket anytime, or we just only Jalen was really the only one creating true rim pressure and driving the hole. Dyson's strong suit has always been around the hole. He has a very efficient floater, like 60%. Uh, he's good at finishing through contact. Blah blah blah. The whole blase blase, whole up and down. So Dyson brings defense and a rim pressure that we very much need. He got to the free throw line a couple times, I think, 4 times. He got there pretty times. He made his free throws as well. I don't think he missed one. You can correct me on
He
that if I'm
he,
wrong.
he did miss one.
He missed,
He missed.
it's one.
Yeah, he was
It's,
75% from the field
it,
from
that
free throw
that
line. He
that
was
one
fine.
was fake. Yeah,
Yeah.
that miss don't exist. Anyways, Dyson brings the rim pressure that we need, especially when we like to play, how Quinn wants to play. You want to push the ball up the floor, so now you have three mulattoes running down the floor, full steam ahead, trying to get that bucket. And Dyson and Jalen are immediately about to run through the hole. Dyson had a nice spin layup to separate himself from the contact. Top glass, easy lay. The one three he took it very confident. He didn't hesitate. Soon he knew he was open. He had it. Well, the one three he made, he knew he open, had it, easy swish. The other ones he shot were good looks. It's just a matter of getting them to go in. His shooting mechanics seem fine, whatever. But I think Dyson is making a very strong case of starting.
A low volume defensive menace at the 2. Points if you can shoot. Just and this is it. A 6'8" demon doing all the little things defensively. And they're really talking out there, which is great. And he's a part of that. And offensively, Quinn said it perfectly. He just knows how to create space. Zach does it as well. They just move on the court in a way that's going to open up lanes. Like, it's one thing to clog the lane, but if you can open the lane up, even after you clog it, I would prefer that you not. But if you can open that lane up for somebody else, then that creates space in other spots. And that's what he does offensively. He had a couple cut throughs last night that, helped us get into good offense. So, I don't know what to say. He obviously has to shoot a little bit better than he did last year. It's going to have to be at least he's going to have to give me at least 1 out of 3, 1-3 a game. That's not ideal, but 1 out of 3 on 3 a game is like the baseline. Had 2 turnovers, and you're playing against some new team with 6 assists. So I thought he would do a little bit better on the boards, but
No, yeah,
you out there with Clint. You're out there with Clint, so
I don't want to cut you off. I want to add in Dyson is probably the only player recently to make a baseline cut for Trey. That's all I want to add.
Yeah, it's pretty rare for the Hawks off-ball movement. Dyson was good in his performance. It wasn't. I think we talked about how the Pacers don't really have the type of offense where he was going to get to really show off defensively. Hallie doesn't just spam constant pick and roll. They move the ball around a lot of motion in their offense. But what he did do defensively was he was on time with his rotations. We saw him with some digs, loose balls. He was around the plays. If someone poked it out, he was there. I think for one Jalen steal to be the outlet guy to start the fast break. So you saw Dyson's processing was up to speed, which is something I think Landry's emphasizing right now, is getting guys that can think the game as well as play it at a quicker speed. Dyson came up as a point guard. I think that's somewhat forgotten in what people are talking about in terms of his play style. And as a point guard, you're not spacing the floor, especially in today's game, right? So he's used to getting downhill and kind of trying to create for others. Adding just a knockdown 3-point shot, obviously, I'm sure it's something he's going to be working on. Doesn't come fully naturally to him, but he's making quick decisions as Quinn wants him. So I'm sure he'll be all right in that way. But it was the little things for me with Dyson. He set a nice screen for Trey to force a switch. He got Trey a matchup that he could take advantage of and hit a 3. They tried to run a bit of a hammer setup for Dre early, and Dyson was screening for him in the corner. You have an off-ball guard. There's a benefit to having an extra screener on the floor, and I feel like that might not be appreciated enough. He's a player that embraces physicality. He grew up playing Australian rules football, which I assume is rugby, but I don't really know how that works exactly. But so he's not afraid to embrace physicality. He's a springy athlete. We saw him get up easy for 2-hand dunk off the baseline cut. Saw him spinning off to get a layup. So you got a nice 6'7" athlete who embraces defense, and he's smart and passes the ball, and he's willing to go get rebounds and really do whatever coach wants of him. And I think that's something that's really important for the off-ball guard next to Trey, is having a guy that kind of buys in to being willing to impact the game outside of scoring, right? It's something we're going to talk about a lot with this Hawks team, right? Because you have a couple guys that are really legit scorers already, in Trey and Bogey, and Jalen's trying to find his way. So there's only so many balls on the floor, and if everyone's trying to compete for shots, then the ball's not going to move the way it needs to, right? So Dyson being a smart, willing screener, cutter, guy willing to do the dirty work is great, and I'm excited to see his impact on the team moving forward.
Let's talk about V. He only scored 7 points, but he had one of the highest plus minuses on the entire team. I thought he did really well in the game, especially leading, not leading, but helping with the second unit when Trey was on the bench. His passing is just incredible, and I just love the way he just helps his offense flows. I'm just hoping at this point that the shooting is real. He only made 1 3 in during the game, but I think it's just something we're just gonna have to watch throughout the season. But other than that, like he's just been so much of an aggressive player ever since he came to the Hawks, and I think he's just gonna be such an important player in this season. I don't know if he's gonna be like a 10th or 11th man, but I have a feeling that he's probably gonna force his way to the rotation soon, probably.
Yeah, I think Veet is basically Ryan Schmidt's Mona Lisa. And y'all know what I'm going to say. All the homies love Veet. I think he has a play style that people just kind of is aesthetically pleasing. He's always been about moving the ball around. You saw him with little Magic Johnson fake last game. That three-quarters court pass, right, shut off the vision, the passing ability that he's shown since day one, even when we had, like, the first time we got him. That's the stuff that popped for V. Like, you knew that he was a high-field player that if he could find his way on the floor would be productive. And it took him some time, but he got where he needed to defensively and started pulling the trigger on threes last year and really turned himself into an NBA rotation player. And it was awesome to see his progression. And I think that honestly gave the Hawks a little proof of concept of their developmental program and gave them the confidence that they can continue to do that. And yeah, so I love what I'm seeing from Beat. I'm really excited about what he's doing, and I hope he can find some minutes.
I talked about Veet. I talked about Garrison Matthews being our Swiss Army knife, but it may well just be Veet. He does. I've always hyped up. I've always hyped up Veet, and I'm glad he had this reassurance with us and not another team. Uh, but I like what he does. The small passes. You know, he's always going to make the extra pass. He's an efficient driving kick. His shot has gotten way better. You can tell he's more confident in it now. Um, yeah, V just does the small things that you need, and that yeah. I think he just likes the team. He's like that. He's our Swiss Army knife now. I'm sorry, Gary, I love you, but the minutes you played, you looked a lot lost. I don't know what was going on with you, but it may well just be him. That's all I can say on V right now. I hope he kind of. This is where it gets tricky with who gets minutes, and who doesn't, and how can you play certain people together, blah blah blah. Like that's just the tricky part of getting Veet into the rotation. But that's all I can say on it for right now.
V Krejci is immaculate vibes. Just a really good basketball player, man. Larry Nance told us that he really surprised him, and I had said many times Veet was a three ball away from being a competent NBA player, and he's even exceeded those expectations. I think one of the things about Veet is he also had to get stronger. He was a really lanky 6'7" when he came into the league, and he's put on a little bit of weight, just enough to really play basketball. But he does also get kind of pushed around from time to time. But he can put on another 10, 15 and really be able to stand his ground. Then, you can play him in a lot more lineups. He can play the four just because his team defense is so good, but you don't want him matched up with some of the fours in the Eastern Conference, especially if they're still playing like Evan Mobley at the four, and obviously those jumbo lineups I was talking about with the Celtics. But he just knows how to play basketball. It's very similar to Dyson. He just knows how to play the game in a way that allows everybody else to flourish and even aids in that. Because when he's on the floor, the offense is just juiced in a way that you just wouldn't expect from a player that's not like a shooter or just an elite scorer because like Dyson, he creates those lanes and he's a bit more of a sicko, and we'll get into that later than Dyson is just in understanding the spatial awareness of basketball. I can't remember which one it was in I can't remember the name of the show. He's got that bird's eye view
Oh,
of the
Owie
court. He
from
has to.
Owashi. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He's got the
Yes.
bird's eye view.
He's got to
You can see
have
the
that
whole
bird's eye view.
before.
He really can.
Yeah,
From
I
an
mean, you
off
don't make the
ball
pass
from an
that
off
Beat
ball
made without seeing
position
the
at
ball.
that. Yeah, from an off ball position at that, like that's special.
Yeah, Veet will be. I don't know, man. Like I said, Veet is a good player. Kobe is a good player, but now it asks the question: who gets the most minutes? Do you really want to toss Kobe into the G again for Veet, or do you want both of them to get? Well, you want Kobe especially to get more of actual in-game NBA experience now at this point.
I mean,
They're going to give Kobe the job until he loses it. It's going to be a lot like AJ Griffin
why
at the
not
beginning of
both?
last season.
Why not
It's
both?
not possible. I mean,
It's
It's
not
not a
possible.
it's not
no,
a
It's
it
not
does
why
a
not
feasible.
disservice.
both thing.
It does a
I mean,
disservice to Kobe to split up the role, right? He's got
I
to
can.
get. He's got to be the backup point guard. You're developing him, and you have to invest in him as long as you can. And if he's not ready, then you send him down to the G League where he can get real minutes. But I think it's a disservice to either one to not to give them half a role. Nobody wants half a role in the NBA. They want to know like what they're doing consistently night to night, and they want to know that they can expand on that. And if they're competing for it, then one of them like they assume the other one's getting traded right when it's decided. But yeah,
Not raised a hand.
Oh, go ahead, Leon.
I mean, why not? I noticed it. Um, I think Kobe really has an opportunity to lock up a real NBA role. Um, and that's a backup point guard, and that's a step up from where he was last year. He kind of has that. He's a when he's out there on the court, it looks to me like he's a point guard. That's just he looks like he's telling everybody where he wants them. He's talking on both sides of the ball like a point guard. So he I'm more than fine with him being our backup point guard. And I believe that Vit is that player where if you're having trouble on any night, foul trouble from a 2, a 3, even a 4, you can add Vit into your into your lineups, no matter who it is. You know what I mean? Because you can play him a little bit at the 2, you can play him a little bit at the 3, play him a little bit at the 4. Um, you know, in a pinch, you can play him a little bit at the 1. Like if it really comes to that, and it's not going to be the nastiest thing you've ever seen on a basketball court because he just knows how to play the game, and that
Facts.
guy's gonna find minutes. It just is what it is now that he's big enough and can shoot.
Look, it was a handful of us, the pre-Dyson trade. It was a handful of us saying Veek very much could be starting to guard if that
Yeah.
spot was a toss-up. We said it, and I
I
stood 10
mean, I
toes on
think I saw something. It said it was a lineup of Trey, Vit. I don't
Trey
think it was
Vid,
Zach
Trey
Dyson and
Vid, Risa,
Nance.
and Jalen.
Yeah, I think that was
Risa, Jalen, and Nance, and like it was some ridiculous
plus
kind of
13.
run they went
I
on.
mean,
Plus
it's
13
just
in
They
like a
scored. Yeah,
couple
they scored
minutes.
19.
it's
They
just
scored 19 straight.
Kobe is a draft pick, and Veet is an undrafted player that we signed to a minimum deal. And we know how politics play in this. And Veet's minimum contract is not going to impact Kobe's chance at an NBA
And
role.
I'm fine with
Veet,
that.
Veet might be able to find that some. Well, yeah, I'm just talking about Marco asked the question of Veet or Kobe. Like, there's no Veet doesn't have a Kobe has to lose that job for Veet to get any backup point guard minutes. He's got the land on that.
Which is true, but I don't think because that has been that has been the case in past seasons, but I don't think we're playing politics as much this year. Like
No,
what
they are.
I
DeAndre Hunter just started.
I
I
mean,
mean, but
it's
it's preseason.
It's preseason. It's preseason.
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
think
like,
It could
okay.
change. Like, I think they're gonna be more flexible with probably like the
That's
opening.
not how the NBA works, bro. I'm sorry.
I
Do
mean,
y'all see many teams like changing their starting lineup night to night?
I mean,
That
most
doesn't happen in the
to be
NBA.
to be fair, most teams are not in our position. We're
I mean,
completely revamped in 3 different spots.
I see the Pacers
That's
did last year. They changed their starting lineup a few times. I mean,
due to injury or
no,
just willy nilly. They changed it
they
night
No,
to
they
changed
night.
it
moved
willy
Mather
nilly.
into the.
Yeah,
They had moved Mather into the bench because he was better off the six
exactly.
man
Yeah,
position.
And they changed it
benching.
during the in-season
Look,
tournament too. Like they
yeah,
they
we
changed
changed
it.
it when we benched Bay and then we started Jalen. But these teams are like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Quinn might do a matchup based thing at the 2. Like they're gonna have a
Nah,
schedule.
I don't want
They're
him to do
gonna
the
have a
match
rotation.
like me and you said earlier.
Like
We don't want him to do that game by game matchup shit. We want you to have a set person here and go from there. I will say, like I said, most teams aren't in the position that we are. We're completely new at 3 different spots. That's what we wanted. Project 3 new starters. So at this point, now you have to find the best matchup of who meshes. The only person that's probably got to solidify out of this 3 new starters is Clint, sadly, because nobody's here to take his job like we thought was going to be. But Nance, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. If we didn't have Clint, Nance had a very look. I wouldn't even be mad if Nance started because that lineup that they ran with him, V,
he
Risa,
should start.
and Trey, that shit was they scored 19 straight very easily.
I think he should start. I would bench Clint, but that's just me. I mean, Clint doesn't really fit the style they're trying to play.
He
I
ran the ball
would
too.
go with Nance
Nance almost
and
caught a body last night too.
I don't
as the
think
starter, or at least for now until Double O's ready. But I really liked Nance's impact on the game. He took a nice. I mean, he took multiple threes, but he splashed one, got some rebounds, and was a good passer. I like his impact, and he really fits the style they're trying to play. Like I would love for Nance to start, but he's not. Clint's
Yeah,
going to start over him.
that's real politics right there. Clinton starting.
Yeah, this team is not immune to politics. Unfortunately, y'all know me. I wish they would just start their best lineup, but they are going to play politics.
Yeah, I will, but not. But like I said, I feel like the 2 through 4, not 2 through 4, 2 through 5. Well, 5 would have been up in the air if Onyeka wasn't hurt, but they project. I asked somebody, they project Onyeka to be back by he may be back opening week because he's been ramping up in practice, and they said there's no discomfort in that toe anymore. So he may be back opening week, and they're not playing him in preseason as a precaution. So you never know. But 2 and 3 is very much up for grabs. I want to say that 2 spot is kind of locked down, but you never know. Like I said, next Monday we might have a whole new lineup.
I have a feeling Dyson is gonna be the 2, no matter what.
Ideally, Dyson would be who you want to start. If he can keep getting to the hole like he was getting, off ball cuts, going to the baseline, whatever, that you would ideally want that to start. Because even if he crashed and goes to the hole, Dyson is going to make it that kick out pass.
But
if Dyson is,
you gotta
go
remember
ahead.
It's the Pacers, and their defense isn't good. So,
I mean, even in that sample size that you got from that, even if it is the Pacers, their defense isn't good. Dyson still did the off-ball things you wanted him to do. Dyson, look, let's say, because John wouldn't do it. I hate to bring up John again. John Collins wasn't doing this. John, when he crashed to the hole and he felt like he had some type of positioning, even if a help defender come over, he's going to try to force that bucket. Dyson sees that somebody just helped off to come help. Somebody is open. That's when you move the ball, swing it. That's what we want. We want to play through the pass.
Well, it's not even Dyson's offense. It's getting him the job. It's the fact that he's the best point of attack defender on the team, in my opinion.
That too.
Yeah.
And he's the best defender on the team. And you don't sit down and decide as an organization, right? This is how we're going to get better. We're going to get bigger. We're going to get better defensively. And you bring in a guy who's the picture of that, and then you don't play him as much as possible. That's not how you change a culture. In my opinion, right? Dyson has to get the opportunity to actually impact the team, and the best way to do that is to start him, I think, and him just naturally being bigger than Kobe. It makes him a better pairing for Trey. I think he's a better defender overall than Kobe. I think Kobe is really nice against guards. He's got a little bit less versatility. So, yeah, I think Dyson is going to be the guy at the 2. Jalen's the guy at the 4. I think I don't know that there's gonna be much flux in the starting lineup until they give Zach the starting job at the 3. I think they're gonna have Hunter there until they decide that Zach's ready. Hopefully Zach does enough in the preseason that they feel comfortable making that move sooner than later once the regular season starts. But I fully expect to see that starting five we saw last night, game one. Just from what I've seen about regarding Quinn and his decision making, he's not extremely progressive. He'll give guys opportunities, but he takes some time to actually give a guy a job. I prefer to challenge players and promote you before it's obvious you're ready. But he even waited for Jalen, and he was the best player on the floor for the Hawks for all of last preseason, and then he didn't start. So I don't expect Quinn to just make a sudden move until the games start.
That's valid. That's valid. I do believe the 3 spot is still up for grabs because in the long run, if you look at our history, we don't have the best injury history in the last 3-4 years, and each year has been highlighted by one main person, and that's Dre. I think you want to preserve it, just like how you did Bogey. Bogey just played 77 games because he's come. A lot of people want to acknowledge it, or they don't want to admit to it, but him coming off the bench helped that knee a lot more than people want to give credit to. He just played 77 games. Now you have another forward who is the main knee injury all the time. He only played. I don't think Hunter has played 60 games since, or over 65 games since his second year. So now it kind of comes to you have to preserve Hunter. If you're expecting to develop while still trying to make the playoffs, you want to preserve your veteran players as much as possible. Meaning, even though Hunter is better off the bench, you kind of want Hunter to come off the bench if Risa shows you what you want to see in these next. How many more preseason games we got? 3?
3. Yep.
Yeah,
Risa,
like if he balled out the next 3 games,
if he gives you 15, 18 a game, you have to make that decision.
Yeah. I don't think
y'all are gonna be so shocked.
I mean,
I know, but like
you're gonna be hurt.
I know he is, but you also know he should start him.
You're gonna be hurt. Oh, I know.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if what happens is that they start Hunter, and then 2 games later they just start Risacher. It wouldn't surprise me at all, and then it's like we all just forget what happens.
Because what they're going to say and what the players are going to say is like, oh, coach, it's preseason, man. I got you when the games start. And coach almost has to say yes. And then when the games start and if Zach's still outplaying him the way he has been, then, yeah, you get to do it. But, yeah, I don't think it's just.
If we're bringing up politics, not starting the number 1 pick, that's some real politics. That'd be.
Yeah. I hear you.
You
I told y'all I don't want to be the person making that decision, but right now they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They have a guy that makes way too much money to just throw away. You have to find him a role, right? Yeah. But if you give Zach the role that Zach needs, there's no role for DeAndre Hunter, right? If you're really trying to develop a number 1 pick, you don't
you got to get rid of
him off at the knees and have somebody taking half his minutes. Right, at most you're considering like a 28-minute a game thing, like they did with Wemby, where they limited. That still would only leave 20 for the backup 3, and you have like 3 people trying to get minutes there, right? So it's just really difficult to find a role for Dre and give Zach the number 1 pick role that he deserves, unless they kind of just let Zach take the job. I do expect Dre to be on another team at some point in the next like 16 months. It's just kind of natural when you take someone number 1 that the people at the guy at his position is going to get moved. And the money just doesn't make sense because you're in the Zaccharie Risacher business now as far as small forwards go. So that $20 million can't just be in Dre Hunter for much longer.
I want to ask y'all this question, and then we're going to move on to talking about Jalen. Let's just say Risacher had a incredibly terrible preseason. Like, absolutely horrible preseason. Would you still start him?
No.
I mean,
no.
Okay. Because
I mean, technically, they didn't even start him, and he's been playing well. So
I just wanted to ask that Because I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, why would I? I mean,
yeah,
I
he
mean,
clearly, yeah, he clearly. What you can't do, even if, all right, hypothetically, if even if he did have this ass preseason, you also still cannot send him to the G. You have to let him keep getting that NBA experience.
oh no,
Well,
he
like
has to play.
there's different forms of like struggling, right? There's like he's not ready, right, yet, and you bring him off the bench, right? But he's I don't know, it's complicated
He's
because
ready.
yeah, exactly. He is ready.
He's
So
ready.
you start him,
So
right? If he wasn't, it'd be one thing, but he is. So you just play him, and it's not too much to just give him that role. It's not like we're asking him to be our lead dog, right? It's not because he's the third option. So it makes sense to give him that challenge. It's not too much for him. If we were asking him to be our number one and then he was struggling a little bit, yeah, I'll be like, I don't know if we can start him yet. But we're asking him to not do that much. So in my opinion, I think you can start that guy. And he's ready for that, for what we need him to do.
Yeah, playing next to Dyson will help him as well.
I
I
do.
don't.
It's funny. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off
No,
just
no,
real quick.
go.
I do think they almost would prefer that he didn't look as amazing as he did in that first game, so that they could get away with playing some trade value games for a few months and start DeAndre Hunter without like any
I mean, his
controversy.
value is already not that
But
good anyway. So I mean,
well,
it won't
yeah,
matter.
it's not changing. It is what
They
it is.
don't. The thing
But
is,
a lot of people still think that they can change it, right?
yeah,
But the fact that he did play really well does just instantly create that controversy.
I don't think we know Hunter has been on the block since the last 2 seasons. As soon as they gave him that extension, he was on the block. Um, I don't think they really want to have that conversation. Hunter says he's okay with accepting a bench role, but you're not about to. No player. Well, I lied. Some players will come out and say they don't want to be on the bench. Uh, Dre isn't that type of person to start public controversy. I haven't seen him in any beef. Haven't seen him in any locker room drama problems. All that shit. So Dre says to the public that he's okay with being on the bench, but I don't think he is okay with being on the bench, and that's probably where the conflict is. And it could be like Quinn. It could be like Quinn telling him, "All right, you feel like you need to start because we just took this number one pick overall, so he's already glorified. The job is up for grabs. You lose a job, you lose a job."
Well, yeah, I mean, y'all know how athletes are. Like, you don't if it's your team and somebody comes in the locker room, you're going to think you're the better guy, right? Even when LeBron James got to the number one, there was guys in the locker room saying we have better players than him in our position. So as talented as Zach is, I'm pretty sure DeAndre Hunter still saw himself as the better small forward. And Quinn, his job is as much about the X's and O's as it is about managing the personalities and the egos in the locker room. And if making Zach prove that he should start makes that transition easier, then I understand it, right? Personally, me, I would sit them down and have a hard conversation with them. I'm more of a Pat Riley in terms of leadership that way. But if he needed to ease Zach in by letting him show the guys like, hey, you guys can rely on me. Like I'm actually the guy at the three. Before Quinn makes the move, then I guess I'm okay with it.
But let's go ahead and just talk about Jalen's preseason. What were you guys' thoughts on Jalen's preseason? I thought he had not preseason, this game for preseason. I thought he had a good preseason game tonight. No, not tonight. Today. Yesterday. Thank you. He was aggressive. I really liked how aggressive he was. He turned over the ball a few times. That's okay. The main thing for me was that aggressiveness. I really just liked him just hunting his shots and stuff. I want him to just shoot a little more though, but that was okay with me. What were your guys' thoughts though?
I love the intent that he played with.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hesitate. He was getting after it, and you really saw a lot of the work that he put in over the summer. It's nice seeing like a guy take his Instagram videos and put them on the floor. He was getting after it in terms of getting to the rim. And that's what you want to see from Jalen. Just physical dominance and understanding what he's capable of, and then leveraging that advantage on the floor.
What you call it? Like I said earlier, Jalen looked better. He looked more aggressive. He's more confident in being the second option. I would like him to shoot more, but that's going to come with time because I don't think he was in a Jalen. The way I try to grade Jalen, if you're open, shoot it. If you're not, and you feel like you get a better shot, blah, whatever. Uh, and what I mean by that, Jalen wasn't in a situation where he needed to shoot because Jalen had a wide open lane every time he went to the hole. They weren't contesting him at the hole, like fouled him multiple times, so he wouldn't get that easy two, and all that. But he had a nice transition three where like as soon as they pushed it, swung it to the corner, he shot it with no hesitation. So I was glad Jalen did that, and again, he only shot 1 3, so he was 100% from the three. But yeah, just get more shots up. I'd like to see more of the stuff that he worked in the off season implemented. But so far he's looked fine. Like I said, 19 points, 10 boards, 3 steals. He's doing what I need him to do so far.
He's thriving in the 2-man game with Trey. And, of course, now he's getting some on-ball reps to show what he can do when he gets the ball, whether that be in the post. As time goes on, and that begins to streak the defense, we can do some other things, of course. But he established himself early and often. So that's what's important. Obviously, he still reads the game very well, makes great passes, is a physical marvel. That's all I'm trying to do a lot more on defense. They're doing a little something on defense. He's not showing everything, but they're doing a little something on defense. They seem to be really attacking their switches, but it's preseason, so everybody looks good on defense in the first game when you've been talking about defense. But Jalen looks like I expected him to look nearly 20, 10, and 5 in less minutes than he's gonna play. We don't have to do the point totals, but I'm shooting for at least 20. I don't know why people talk about some 18, at least 20.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if he would have played, if this was an actual game and that fourth quarter would have happened, he's moving at like 30 and 30.
Well, Jalen is
it,
naturally like a make the right play guy, right? And he plays with the dominant score, so it's easy for people to like undersell him. But I think he understands what his role is this season, and they're really vocalizing it to him. I think that might be a big part of why Larry Nanson's here because he's good at that, as he's shown. So yeah, I think Jalen gets it, and he's gonna get them shots up, man. He was really trying to punk people in the post, and I loved that.
Yeah, I think that we were talking about the 2-man game, of course, and it's him. You know what it's like? It's like if he's JC, like in that role when it was just Trey and JC. We're posting up JC, and you know what's going on. It's a dribble off my leg, or I might hit this midi, but I'm not really punishing the guy physically. I'm hitting some threes, but I'm getting a lot of that usage, and for him, it's more on ball than it is the catch and shoot stuff. And if he can start self-creating his own threes, we're tattooing. And that shot looked very, very clean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say a lot of that is like if Jalen is just punishing people and bouncing off guys on the way to the rim, they're gonna start giving him some space, and that three is gonna be there, or for him to pull up. And it was nice to see him be a little physically imposing. Like Jarris Walker got absolutely sunned on one of Jalen's drives, and like that was the play for me. I think that like kind of signified the game for him and let me know like he means business this season. I think he himself is like talked about wanting to kind of take on that challenge of being one of the go-to guys on this team. And it was really nice to just see him put it into action and really just – he's one of the bigger players on the floor last night. Like, he's like Pascal, shorter than him. I don't know if he weighs as much as Jalen. Jalen looked big. Like, he looked fast. And if he's doing that to people all season, there's going to be some open threes for a few people on the perimeter because you're going to have to send two. That's a strong dude.
I also want to go – Something I know with Jalen and Risacher, and this is might be something that Quinn is trying to implement. We were actually attacking mismatches. Jalen had like Nimhart switch off on him a lot, attacked it every time. Jalen used to have this issue where he would post up and spin into the contact. He's finally realizing that he can spin the other way. That was good. Risacher, he had some they missed him on his mismatches, but he actually was trying to post people up. Like he was he was trying to score in the post too. So I think that's something both of them have been doing that highlighted from first game.
Yeah, man, they got trade 2
I know
6
we're talking
9s,
about
bro.
Jalen. I know we're talking about Jalen, but I love the way Zach, even at 19, is not afraid to get in there and just lean on guys. Like,
Mouse in the house.
you know what I mean? You know, like, and not even that. Like, it'll be a bigger guy. Like, he's hand fighting with Obi trying to get a rebound, like looking like a vet, like talking shit, smiling hard. He just loves that kid. Really loves the game. I gotta give it to him. Like he's
Got
not.
another
He
basketball junkie.
He couldn't convince me he doesn't like basketball. Like there are some basketball players that if they told me they didn't really like basketball, I would believe them. But not Zaccharie
I think I could
Risacher.
guess. No, Zach's in
That guy
it
loves
for
it.
the love of the game. He's definitely a hoop head. A lot of his like they were like asking him these like journalist questions, and he's just like, "I like basketball." He's like I just like basketball.
Basically. I'm sorry, I got off track. But Jalen is
They go back to Jalen.
Jalen's number 2, baby. Jalen's
Yeah.
number 2, and it's gonna be great. This is exactly what you want. You want a forward to go with your guard, and now you got a wing.
I think a big
it's one
part of
position
it-
left.
I think a big
One
part of
position
it
left.
is that Jalen like showed that if you play through him, right, there's a way to succeed that way, and if they can play through Jalen, that's you can use your changeup, right? We didn't have a changeup much. It was always just fastball with Trey. So if you have a fastball and a changeup now, it's going to be difficult for teams to load up because they're not going to know who's going to right. If they're loading up on Trey and Jalen's coming down the other side of the floor, barreling to the rim, like he's going to feast. And if they have to start shading towards Jalen, then Trey's going to be able to get off and do his thing. And then you have Dyson, who's actually active off the ball. Clint was moving around off the ball. If the guys are really working hard and doing their thing, then Jalen is going to have a huge season just dunking on people. I still have that Austin Reeves pick as my wallpaper, so I'm manifesting plenty of Jalen facials.
Hey yo.
No, that was intentional.
I know. I just
To end off the podcast, I'll just ask everyone, who do you think was the best performing player for the game?
it's a toss up between Jalen and Risa. I feel like both of them, our two mulattoes, were eating.
Okay,
That's crazy.
We've reached the mulatto quota
That is
for the pod.
crazy.
Our two mulattoes were dropping it hot, bro.
Gonna get us canceled before we get a sponsor.
No.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
to censor
That's
that.
crazy work, man. That's crazy. I'm so sorry. Okay. I had to get that out. Like that was laugh worthy.
But no, for me it was Zaccharie Risacher. He looked very good. That was the guy I really wanted to see the most play NBA action. He obviously is the only one that hasn't played against real NBA players, so it was nice to see him get out there and be bigger than a lot of them. For one, it's exciting. He looked fast, he looked big, and he looked smart. And that's a player. I can see why Trey is so excited about getting him out there because he and Jalen, I think, are gonna be really, really great outlets for Trey. And yeah, as Leon said, there's one position left. You really got to figure out, and I think the Hawks might have their core.
What do you think, Leon?
Dang, I forgot the question. What was the question again?
Who do you think was the best performing player? Or, I'm going to change it to favorite player of the game. I'll change it to
my
that.
favorite player of the game.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that the best player tonight was Dyson Daniels. I'm just doing it because no one else did. So Dyson played great, man. Like he really had he he's kind of like Veet, but not really. In that the way that they move without the ball, the way that they kind of understand what's going on the court at all times, and manipulate the defense from an off ball, an off ball position. And even though Dyson can't shoot, and that's by being big and in the way. And it's really nice to have a guard who can set screens, a two guard who can set screens. They try to run that hammer play with he who may not be named last year, but he can't set a good screen. He's a twig. So you go get a bigger body who can set that screen, and now we're getting there, Chris. It's almost 4 meta time. It's almost time. We're almost there. We just got to get Double O back healthy.
We will explain the 4 meta next episode. Actually,
4 meta. Been asking. I prayed for times like this. Honestly.
All right. I'm gonna be unconventional and say Larry Nance.
Okay, that's good.
Larry Nance.
He almost caught
I like
he
that.
almost
I
caught a
like
body.
that. I
Yeah, I like it. He almost caught a
That's
body.
Tried to
good.
put 2 dudes in coffins. Actually,
Like, I just
And
love
then,
his
ooh.
energy and defense on the court. Like, he's really good. And I was just happy when he just started trying to shoot some of those threes. I think he's going to be actually a really important piece on this team for this year, especially if Okongwu isn't as healthy as we think he could be this season. We'll see what happens with Okongwu though. So
He's a vet that can still play. That's
yeah,
stuff that we've been needing. He's a
yeah,
vet that can
yeah.
still actually be an on floor coach and still provide you some valuable shit out of his minutes.
yeah,
Yeah, people keep talking to me about football, and there's a really important position called the swing tackle, guy that can play left and right tackle in case somebody gets hurt. Larry Nance being able to play the 4 and 5 and kind of do both jobs equally well is gonna be big for this team.
Barrett Jones style, baby. Barrett Jones.
But before we end the podcast, does anyone have any final thoughts before we close it out?
47 wins, baby. We're going there. This team is going to be good. And they are going to be able to withstand whatever diversity comes to them.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they are reasonably healthy. Reasonably. Nothing on all types of wood. Go Hawks.
So for me, it was definitely just getting to see all the new guys and what they can bring to the team. You kind of hope to see the buzzwords that get thrown around during camp applied once the games start. And I definitely felt like the offense really kind of exemplified what they were talking about in terms of playing through the pass and playing fast. So hopefully that just keeps up and they just continue to grow from that.
Yeah, man. I think they have their 4. They have their 4 they need to build around. Question up in the air is that center position. Weakest position we have right now, in my opinion. So hopefully when OO comes back, we can really run what we want to run, and we can see how that finally looks with the Fantastic 4 we already have. So go Hawks. 6 seed on the way.
I'm just like I said, way earlier in the podcast, the template of this team list looks very interesting. I'm just excited to just see what they can build on with this. But we will see you all next time for the next preseason game podcast. The next preseason game the Hawks will play is on the 14th against the Philadelphia 76ers. So until then, we will see y'all next time. Have a good one.
Oh.